For now, Siwa's natural beauty continues to remind visitors what brought people here in the first place.
Well, Siwa is situated in an area which is far below the sea level. That's why it has a lot of water. And one of the main sources of water is natural springs.
There's probably thousands of them in and around Siwa, but only about 180 to 200 of them that are big enough to explore. And of those, they haven't really explored any of them.
Diving in the Sahara.
The Egyptian Sunken Antiquities Department has been exploring the waters of Egypt. And most recently, crazy concept, we go scuba diving in the desert.
These wells have been there since before the Romans, so in that amount of time, you can't imagine the things that have been thrown in the well, people that have swam in it, just the things those wells have seen.
First thing we noticed were the fish. Now wrap your head around that for a second. Fish swimming in the middle of the desert.
I assume these fish were planted here at some point by man, but over time they've obviously evolved because there's no classification for some of these fish. They look a bit like African cichlids, but with bulging eyes and random colors. And at this point, they're completely indigenous to these wells.
The next thing we noticed was all the history lying at the bottom. While many of the blocks seem like pieces of the current retaining wall that have just fallen in, we remembered that the Romans used these wells. And you know how decorative they were. Suddenly, this became a really diverse dive for what seemed to be a glorified swim hole. But next to Cleo's bath in Siwa town, Abu Shroof is probably the most visited well, so we decided to look around at a few of the lesser known ones, like the well of Qurayshat, which sits just beyond what's left of a major farming area during the Roman times. And some say this is one of a few haunted wells in and around Siwa, so locals tend to stay away from it. And by the looks of it, I could see why they say that. Upon closer look, the ominous spikes covering the bottom were just a combination of delicate algae and rising oxygen. Hence all the weird-looking blobs that were floating to the surface. There were similar fish in this well, but not nearly as many as Abu Shroof. Got me to wondering if these fish were planted or if they found a connecting passageway through the aquifer below. Either way, I did get the creeps a bit more in this particular spring. So we headed back into town with a specific well in mind.
And since we dove a haunted well, it's probably a good idea that we do a blessed one. This is the bride's well, basically because all the brides-to-be come here to have their bachelorette party. Brings good luck. It's also one of the most likely places to have some type of archaeological find, like they're suspecting a Roman tub or an empty sarcophagus, something along those lines. So we'll go down there, see what we can find. If nothing else, we'll throw some coins in, get a wish granted. We'll have some good luck. You ready?
Right off the descent, I realized there weren't any fish in this well, but the water was so full of oxygen you could feel the bubbles crawling on your skin. It was a much more technical dive than the previous ones because it was smaller and deeper, so we had to be really careful not to stir up the algae. But we were anxious to get more below the surface this time, so we had to forego the visibility for discovery. And it seemed to pay off. Going even deeper, we found what looked to be something like a praying altar. I don't know. All I can say is that it was unique, and we were the first to film it.
It's hard to make out anything when you don't know what you're looking for, but
Well, you're looking for anything.
yeah.
You know, what is down there? It's all about like diving into history, basically.
Yeah.